is a good question out of the chute. The Texans looking for a new coach, as we know. Romeo Crennel's going to stand in for the interim, and I'm sure he'll do a decent job at that. But they'll find a new coach during the offseason. And while we discussed Josh McDaniels as an option on Monday, an even bigger name is being thrown around. That will be Dabo, little Dabo do ya, Dabo Swinney, Clemson head coach, who obviously is close with the VP of football ops for Houston. And as we know, Coach Deshaun Watson at Clemson. Now, yesterday, Dabo was tapping the brakes on any jump to the NFL. Dabo was doing his job. Take it easy, pal.
Yeah, Miami's big game for them, though.
As long as that's not the first question, I'm totally cool with that line of questioning. You kidding me? I mean, it's a fair story.
We should find out if it was. Because if it was, that's kind of – come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it shouldn't supersede. It shouldn't trump the game. I'll certainly give you that. And I don't believe that he hasn't talked to Deshaun Watson. I'm not buying that. They're buddies. Come on. And there's nothing wrong with talking to him.
He's probably talked to Deshaun Watson, just not about taking the job at the Houston Texans. So it's all in the particulars.
I don't believe that either. You don't believe that. So
I don't think that.
Okay. The Texans, this is a good question. The Texans with Deshaun will be a better option for Dabo than Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence if they get the first pick. Good question. Tough one.
That's a tough one.
Tough one.
I don't even know how to answer that.
I have my answer.
I mean, I'm going to say inbounds, but I'm not convinced because he knows Trevor Lawrence so well, even though he knows Deshaun equally as well. So it ends up being more about Dabo Swinney's going to want to come into a situation where he can impart his influence and control. And I think Jacksonville's younger. I don't know. You know what? I'm going to say out of bounds. I think this is out of bounds. Because I think in Jacksonville he could have a bigger impact as a teacher that he is. So I'm going to say out of bounds.
To me, the answer is it's a great question, but it's so apparently Jacksonville. Now, the only thing you don't know, and as everybody says, Trevor Lawrence is a new Andrew Luck, but pundits have been wrong. So there's always the possibility that you're aligning yourself with a quarterback with the worst of the two quarterbacks. That it's even if it's 1% possibility, it's possible. But the Texans' finances are all jacked.
Yeah,
all jacked around.
We talked about that yesterday.
Talked about it yesterday.
What are they negative? They're $6 million over the cap already.
Right now they are
for next year.
They've got no premium draft equity, while the Jaguars had their own draft equity, not to mention what they got back from the Rams for Jalen Ramsey.
Great point.
So, to me, this is a no-brainer, and not to mention you get Trevor Lawrence on a rookie contract, so you can disperse the money elsewhere. This isn't even, and I like Deshaun Watson, not even close. There are 10 boxes you would check with the Jaguars. There's one that you would check with the Texans, and that is that right now Watson is more of a known professional commodity than Lawrence. Everything else favors Jacksonville. Knicks. The Knicks have the 8th pick in next month's draft. Think about that, November draft. That's crazy. Reports say they're targeting a veteran to add to the young roster. That includes last year's third overall pick, R.J. Barrett, who I like, but I don't think he's going to be a star. He can't shoot, but he's got a motor, so he'll play. First, the New York Post reported New York is eyeing Pacers All-Star Victor Oladipo, somebody you and I talked about yesterday. Not much with their owner because he didn't really know much about Victor Oladipo. Yeah. You and I talked about him, not the younger Simon. And now the same reporter, Mark Berman, who's been doing this for a long time, says the Knicks are interested in trading for Chris Paul. All right. Welcome to 2005. While Paul is certainly older, it would be better for the Knicks to bring in CP3 over Oladipo to be a leader and mentor to the young roster.
I'm going to say yeah, because there's not the anticipation inbound. So inbound to this, BT, because there's not the anticipation that he's going to be the man to save New York. He's going to be there for a specific purpose, which we saw him do with some class and some success in Oklahoma last year. So I'm going to say inbounds to this. I think CP3 would be better. But just as an aside, I mean, how rough is this on CP3 in his I don't know, storied career? Now, obviously no championship, but he's been really good. One of the best point guards in the NBA. Never's going to win a championship. But
No, especially if he goes there.
Yeah, but regardless, it doesn't matter where he goes. He's just a bounce around guy.
He could win, but he could win one.
Yeah, but not with him as the guy. You know what I mean?
Depends where he go. What if he went to Philly?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you never know.
Maybe.
You know.
But he's just bouncing.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's just like, and it's not because he wants to.
Yeah. But he's also bouncing because he's viewed as a real favorable asset. A lot of it is circumstances, as you well know. But, no, you can't deny it. It's turned into a bit of a transient career at the end. I'm with you on that. To me, this is so inbounds here. Now, provided, not that I would, listen, I don't know what Kevin Knox is going to be, but, you know, you want to take Ntilikina, that's fine. You want to take Randall, take that money. You got to make the money's match, that's fine. Julius Randall, 3-year deal, 60-something mil, get rid of him. But to me, most importantly, I need to see the stigma of influential players like spurning, even though this would be a trade, it's not free agency, spurning the Knicks. Like the benefit residually from Chris Paul going there, and now, you know, with Worldwide West and Rose and all these guys who are now power brokers for the team, it could change. It should fully eradicate the stench. Like, I'm not going to play for Dolan. Mm-hmm. Like, if Chris Paul goes there, whether they win 46 games, 39 or 52, it's almost immaterial. If Chris Paul has a good experience at the Garden, that will change the way players view the Garden.
Yeah.
And that has to happen for the Knicks to start getting some free agents inbounds. Trevor Bauer, he's been outspoken all year, really about everything, but really about the Astros, ripping the cheating scandal and getting into a lot of beefs with some players, both on Twitter and in the media. Can you imagine if he plays for the Mets, which he might next year? Him in New York with his tweets?
Oh, it'd be amazing.
God, wow. Yesterday, however, he was asked on Twitter, if the Astros are the team that puts the biggest deal in front of you, would you consider it? To which Bauer responded, I will consider all offers. So, in or out, we would lose respect for Bauer if he signed with Houston after all the chirping this year.
Out of bounds, because it's not like he's signing with a team that's still cheating. He's signing with a team that's paying him the most money. I think every sports team is a capsule. Especially if some of those guys end up leaving, and the cheating scandal is clearly not going on anymore. You're not hearing any banging in the dugout. So I'm going to say out of bounds for that. I think he needs to do what's right for number one, and number one is getting him paid for being as good as he is. So out of bounds.
Totally agree, 100%. There's no other way to process this unless you just hold it on to some petty stuff. No, I would lose no respect. Matter of fact, I gain respect. Because now he's got to walk in there, getting paid, but now he's got to walk in and face the guys that he was chirping, about and ripping on all year incessantly. So it takes some broad shoulders to do that. He's an interesting guy who had a great year, and he's a unique mind. He's going to help any team, but no, I wouldn't lose respect. Bottom line, Tiki's right, get paid. Trey Lance is going to get paid. North Dakota State quarterback, expected to be a first-round pick this year. Now, the Bison canceled their season, as we know. They did schedule one showcase game this fall, which occurred last week. They won 39-28. They played Central Arkansas. In the game, Lance was just 15 for 30, so not impressive, 50%. But he had 2 passing touchdowns and a pick. And he ran for 143 yards and a couple of scores as well. Now, yesterday he announced on Twitter he would skip the spring season and officially declare for the draft. So, in or out, Lance did show enough in his one showcase game to be a top 15 pick.
Yeah, well, the answer to this is out of bounds, but is he going to be a top 15 pick? The answer is probably yes. He threw for less than 5 yards an attempt, BT, and 50% of his completion passes. He's obviously an elite athlete relative to the competition he's playing in. Does that transfer to the NFL? It's to be determined, but we know how this works with some of these quarterbacks. If you have a grade on you and you have an intrigue about you, and then you go to the combine, look the part, you talk the part, then you're going to get drafted in the top 15. Did he do enough? No, he didn't, but it doesn't mean he's not going to be drafted in the top 15.
See, I'm going to attack this with a little nuance here. Specifically, did he do enough in that one game? No, he was 50%. I got you. But he also played last year. And by the way, his number, he set a record for most attempts without an interception.
Yeah.
I mean, so you want to say, well, then what the heck was he 15 for 34 with a pick against Central Arkansas? Well, probably because he's rusty and it's been a pandemic season. He's 6'4", he's 220, he runs, he's got an arm, and he's accurate.
Yep.
Now, he's going to have to prove to GMs, just like Carson Wentz had to prove, and, Steve McNair back in the day when you're playing at a lower level, though that stigma has dissipated a bit. Obviously, when Wentz goes second overall, it's not that big of a deterrent anymore. With McNair, it was a big story. Alcorn State, can he play there as a quarterback? Is it the same? Will it translate? This kid seems to have a lot, and I'm certainly more favorable than not. I'd have to see who's picking in the top 15 and see how many teams need quarterbacks, so that's a little nuanced as well. But yeah, this kid seems to be a legitimate player. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.